All right, thanks, guys. The Saints take on the Cowboys. That's going to be an 8:20 Eastern kickoff this Thursday in Jerry World. The New Orleans Saints open the betting as the 7-point favorite, and the total at 53.5. And since those markets open this one up, we're seeing action toward New Orleans and the under. Right now, the Saints are 7.5, with the total moving downward to 53 even. Once again, New Orleans open -7 up to -7.5. Total open 53 and a hook, down to 53 even. 65% are leaning New Orleans, 69% shaded toward the over. And at the moment, the Cowboys are plus 300 for an outright win. Now, the Saints are 10-1 straight up for the year, 9-2 ATS against the spread. This New Orleans offense is putting up 60... Let's try that again. This New Orleans offense is putting up 36 points per contest away from home. They're also rushing for 159 yards per contest on the road as well. Meanwhile, on the other side, a little bit different story, as Dallas is just 1-4 straight up in their last 5, taking on New Orleans at home. They're also just 3-9 against the spread in their last dozen, taking on New Orleans. So if you're into historical trends, New Orleans certainly has had Dallas's number over the past decade or so. Now, scoring-wise, both teams are just 5-6 to the over overall for the year. New Orleans is 3-2 to the under in their games away from home. They run significantly more on the road as well. They pass significantly less. Meanwhile, on the Dallas side of things, their defense is giving up just 19 points per contest on their home field. So with all that said and done, I'm going to lean New Orleans -7 after buying the half a point and the under. 53 total points in this one. And with that said, I just want to take a quick timeout and welcome everybody to the show. Got some lines and personal leans out for NFL Week 13, but before we get into some more of that, I just want to quickly remind you to check me out at patreon.com/BrockPage. And with a documented record of 9-3-1 in my last 13 daily best plays, you're certainly costing yourself some valuable information each and every day you're not subscribed. Now, memberships begin at just $1.99 per month. There's also plenty of free content there as well. So once again, please feel free to just hit that pause button right now. Open up your browser. All you got to do is type in patreon.com/BrockPage. It'll only take you a few seconds. The link is in the description section below. And if you are a current patron of mine and you're currently watching me right now, I simply cannot thank you enough. You most certainly make it all worth it. All right, let's go ahead and hop back into some more lines and personal leans. All starts Eastern Standard Time. And on deck, we've got Rams-Lions. Let's see where that one is located. Looks like I'm going to be flipping around here in the little booklet. Yeah, here we go. Rams-Lions, 1 o'clock Eastern kickoff. The Rams open the betting as the 8.5-point favorite, and the total at 55 even. And since those markets open this one up, no real surprises here as we're seeing the Rams take most of that early money. We're also seeing movement downward on the total. The Rams are now -9.5 with the total moving downward to 54 and a hook. So once again, the Rams opened 8.5 up to 9.5. Total open 55 down to 54 and a hook. At the moment, the Rams are taking 72% of the consensus at the moment. And right now, 79% is shaded toward the over. And currently, Detroit is plus 370 for some money line cash. Now, the Rams are just 4-7 against the spread so far for the season. They're only 2-3 against the spread on the road. And this Rams defense is giving up 26 points per contest and 120 yards on the ground. Now, they've been great in the outright game, but when it comes to the spread, really not all that great covering the number. Meanwhile, on the other side, Detroit's 6-5 ATS overall. They have successfully covered the number in 3 out of their last 6 at home. And scoring-wise, Detroit's 4-2 to the under in their games at Ford Field. Meanwhile, the Rams are 3-2 to the under in their games away from home. So probably a very contrarian play here. It seems like the obvious is the Rams in the over, but I'm going the exact opposite. I like Detroit plus 10 after buying the half a point and the under, 54.5 in this one. All right, next game, Ravens-Falcons. And I did not coordinate this very good when it comes to the to the notebook. But anyway, Ravens Falcons 1 o'clock Eastern kickoff in Atlanta. The Ravens open the betting as the 3-point favorite, and the total at 47.5. And since those markets opened this one up, we're seeing a steady and consistent fade of Baltimore in the early going here. We're also seeing a little movement toward the over as well. Baltimore is now just -1.5 with the total moving upward to 49 even. So once again, Baltimore open 3, now 1.5. Total open 47.5 up to 49 even. 59% are leaning Atlanta, 62% shaded toward the over. And at the moment, the Falcons are plus $1.05 for some money line cash. Now, Atlanta's been pretty bad this year. They're just 4-7 straight up, and even worse, they're just 3-8 against the spread overall for the year. Atlanta's also just 2-4 against the spread at home. Their defense is allowing 29 points per contest in the Mercedes-Benz Dome. Meanwhile, this Baltimore offense, 25 points per contest they're scoring. They're running for 122 yards per game as well. Baltimore's also 4-1 against the spread in their last 5 in Atlanta, if you're into historical trends. Now, scoring-wise, Atlanta's 3-0 to the under in their last 3. Baltimore's 3-2 to the under in their games away from home. So with all that said and done, I'm going to make the chalky play in this one. Give me Baltimore -1 after buying the hook, and the under 49 total points in this one. Next game, Bills Dolphins. And got that one nice and ready here for us. Bills Dolphins. 1 o'clock Eastern kickoff in Miami. The Dolphins open the betting as the 6.5-point favorite with the total at 41 even. And since those markets opened this one up, we're seeing a very steady and consistent fate of the Dolphins in the early going here. We're also seeing significant movement downward on the total as well. Right now, Miami's -5 with the total moving downward to an even 40 points. So once again, the Dolphins open 6.5 down to 5 flat. Total open 41 down to 40 even. 51% are back on the Dolphins. 75% are shaded toward the over now. And at the moment, Buffalo's plus $1.95 for some money line cash. Now, Buffalo's just 5-6 against the spread overall for the season. They failed to they failed to win in 4 out of their last 6 straight up away from home. This Buffalo offense is scoring just 14 points per contest on the road. They're also averaging 142 pass yards away from home as well. That's horrible. Meanwhile, on the other side, Miami 2-1 against the spread in their last 3 games. They're 6-5 against the spread overall for the year. Miami has successfully covered the number in 4 out of their last 5 games at home. Their offense is putting up 107 rush yards per game on the ground as well. Pretty good rushing team so far. Now, total-wise, Baltimore 3-0 to the over in their last 3 games. Miami, well, they're allowing 24 points per contest at home. They're scoring 24 points per contest at home. So with all that said and done, I'm going to take Miami -5 and the over. 40 total points in this one. Very contrarian for me. Normally I am a kind of square, agreeing with the public, but very contrarian for me right now. All right, next game, Cardinals-Packers. Cardinals-Packers. Let's see where we have that one. As once again, I am all miscombobulated here when it comes to my notes. But anyway, Cardinals-Packers, 1 o'clock Eastern kickoff in Green Bay. The Packers open the betting as the 14.5-point favorite, and the total at 46 even. And since those markets opened this one up, no real surprises here as we're actually seeing a slight fade of Green Bay. Just the way they've been playing lately, I'm really not surprised that we're seeing them getting faded after opening up at 14.5. But anyway, we're seeing movement toward Arizona and the under right now. Green Bay is just -14 with the total moving downward to 44 and a hook. So once again, Green Bay open 14.5 down to 14 even. Totals open 46 down to 44 and a hook. 53% are leaning Green Bay. 67% shaded toward the over. And at the moment, the Cards are plus 710 for some money line cash. Now, the Cards haven't been too bad against the number this season. They're 6-5 ATS overall. They're also 3-2 against the spread away from home. Meanwhile, on the Green Bay side, really struggling right now. They've lost 4 out of their last 5. They're also 2-5 ATS in their last 7 ball games. Now, scoring-wise, Arizona scoring just 13 points per contest away from home. Meanwhile, this Green Bay defense is allowing just 18 points per contest at Lambeau Field. So with all that said and done, Green Bay should win this one outright, but I like Arizona plus the points. Give me Arizona plus 14 and the under, 44.5 in this one. All right, next game, Broncos-Bengals. Broncos-Bengals. 1 o'clock Eastern kickoff in Cincinnati, Paul Brown Stadium. The Broncos open the betting as the 3.5-point favorite, and the total at 43.5. And since those markets opened this one up, not a whole lot of movement on the spread, although we'll probably see this one close out at Denver -4 or 4.5 at some markets. But anyway, we're seeing most of the line movement on the total, and that is actually going downward. Right now, the total's 42.5. So once again, Denver opened up and remains as the 3.5-point favorite. Total open 43.5 down to 42 and a hook. 70% are shaded toward Denver, and at the moment, Cincinnati's plus $1.75 for some money line cash. Now, Cincinnati suffered a humiliating 35-20 loss to Cleveland on their home field. You saw the shenanigans with Hugh Jackson and Baker Mayfield, really disrespectful on the Cleveland side, especially being a really crappy team. But anyway, Cincinnati 0-3 straight up in their last 3 games. They lost 5 out of their last 6 ball games as well. Cincinnati's just 2-4 against the spread on their home field this year. Their defense is giving up 31 points per contest on their home field as well. Meanwhile, on the other side, this Denver offense is putting up 24 points per contest on the road. They're running for 128 yards per game on the road as well. Denver successfully covered the number in 3 out of their last 5 away from home. They're also 5-1 ATS in their last 6 ball games. Now, total-wise, Denver's defense, well, they're giving up 25 points per contest away from home. They're also allowing 123 rush yards. Cincinnati, they're 8-3 to the over for the year, 4-2 to the over at home. So although I think Denver should get the job done, I'm really liking some scoring in this one. So with all that said and done, I'm going to lean Denver -3 after buying the hook and the over, 42.5 in this one. All right, next game, Panthers-Buccaneers. Panthers-Buccaneers, 1 o'clock Eastern kickoff in Tampa Bay. Carolina opened the betting as the 4-point favorite, and the total at 56.5. 56 even. And since those markets opened up, we're seeing a slight fade of Carolina. We're also seeing movement upward on the total. Right now, Carolina's 3.5. Total's 56.5. So once again, the Panthers open -4, down to -3.5. Total open 56. Up to 56.5. 67% are back on Carolina. 54% are still shaded toward the over. And at the moment, the Bucs are plus $1.60 for some money line cash. Now, Tampa Bay is 2-0 against the spread in their last couple of games. 4-2 straight up in their last 6 at home. This Tampa Bay offense, no matter who the quarterback is averaging 27 points per contest this season, 356 passing yards per game as well. Meanwhile, on the other side, this Carolina defense, well, they're giving up 29 points per contest on the road. They're also allowing 118 rushing yards when they're away from home as well. Carolina's also 0-3 straight up in their last 3 ball games. They failed to cover in each and every one of those 3 defeats, and they've also failed to cover in 4 out of their last 5 away from home. Now, scoring-wise, Tampa's 3-2 to the under in their games at home. Their defense is allowing just 19 points per contest in the friendly confines. Meanwhile, on the other side, Carolina's 3-2 to the under in their games when traveling. Their offense is putting up just 20 points per contest when traveling as well. So with all that said and done, I'm going to lean toward Tampa Bay +4 after buying the 0.5 point and the under 56.5 in this one. All right, next game. Bears-Giants, 1 o'clock Eastern kickoff in the Meadowlands, MetLife Stadium. The Bears open betting as the 4-point favorite, and the total at 45 even. And since those markets open this one up, we're actually seeing movement toward the Bears. No real surprise there. The Bears are now -4.5. No movement on the total. So once again, the Bears open -4 up to -4.5. Total opened and remains at 45 even. Now Chicago is 5-0 straight up in their last 5 ball games. They successfully covered the number in each and every one of those 5 games. 5-0 ATS in their last 5. The Chicago offense is putting up 29 points per contest. They're also running for 115 yards per game. Meanwhile, on the New York side of things, they're 0-5 against the spread at home this season. They have not covered one number at MetLife Stadium. They're also putting up just 19 points per contest on their home turf. They failed to cover in 4 out of their last 5, taking on Chicago in MetLife Stadium. So, really, if you're into historical trends, New York has not had Chicago's number in recent years. Now, Chicago's 3-1 to the over in their last 4 ball games. New York's 2-1 to the over in their last 3. So with all that said and done, I'm going to make the chalky play in this one. Give me Chicago -4 after buying the half a point and the over. 45 total points in this one. All right, next game, Colts, Jags. Colts, Jags. Let's go back. Now we're struggling. Colts, Jags. Colts, Jags. There we go. We got it. 1 o'clock kickoff in Jacksonville. Duval. Is that what they say? They're not saying too much of that this year. But anyway, Indianapolis opened the betting as the 3-point favorite. And the total at 48.5. Since those markets opened this one up, no real surprises here as Indianapolis is taking money. We're also seeing movement downward on the total. Right now, Indy's -3.5 with the total moving downward to 48 even. So once again, Indy open 3, now 3.5. Total open 48.5 down to 48 flat. 68% are leaning Indy, 55% still shaded toward the under. And at the moment, the Jags are plus $1.80 for some money line cash. Now, Jacksonville is just 3-8 ATS overall, one of the worst covering teams in the league. They've also failed to cover in 4 out of their last 6 games on their home field. This Jacksonville offense is scoring just 17 points per contest and throwing for 232 through the air. Meanwhile, on the Indy side of things, completely different story. They're 5-0 straight up in their last 5, 4-1 against the spread in that very same category. Definitely on a crash course with Houston for that top spot in the AFC South. Now, this Indy offense is putting up 30 points per contest. They're also running for 121 rush yards away from home. And when it comes to scoring, Indy's 2-0 to the under in their last 2 ball games. Jacksonville 4-2 to the under in their last 6 at home. So with all that said and done, I'm going to lean Indianapolis -3 after buying the hook and the under 48 total points in this one. All right, next game, Browns, Texans. Browns, Texans. Browns, Texans. 1 o'clock Eastern kickoff in Houston. The Texans open the betting as the 4.5-point favorite, the total at 45 even. Since those markets opened this one up, not a whole lot of movement on the total, although we are see Houston taking a little money in the early going here. Houston's now -5 with the total remaining at 45 even. So once again, the Texans open 4.5, now 5, total open and remains at 45 points even. Now, Cleveland's 7-4 against the spread overall for the year, 3-2 against the spread in their games away from home. This Cleveland offense has been pretty good. They're scoring 27 points per contest away from home. They're also running for 116 yards per game away from home as well. Meanwhile, Cleveland is still 4-2 against the spread in their last 6 road games, dating back to last season. So Cleveland traveling well, getting the job done against the number away from home. Meanwhile, on the Texans side of things, they're just 5-6 ATS overall, 2-3 against the spread in their games at home. This Houston defense is also allowing 107 rush yards per game on their home turf, which is bad news because this Cleveland attack is pretty good on the ground. Now, scoring-wise, we're looking at 3-1 to the over in both teams' last 4 games, respectively. Cleveland's also 3-2 to the over in their games away from home. Houston's 3-2 to the over in their games at NRG Stadium. So with all that said and done, I'm going to lean toward Cleveland +5 and the over 45 total points in this one. Next game, Jets, Titans. Jets, Titans. And we're getting into the later slate. That's a 4:05 kickoff. And that is going Going to be right here. Jets-Titans, 4:05 Eastern kickoff. Tennessee opened the betting as the 9.5-point favorite with the total at 40.5. Not a whole lot of line movement in this one. Tennessee remains the 9.5-point favorite. Total opened at 40.5, up to 41 even. Now, this Jets team is just 3-8 straight up overall. They're also one of the worst covering teams in the league. They're 3-8 against the spread for the year as well. This New York offense is putting up just 18 points per contest on the road. They're only throwing for 167 yards per game when traveling. They're also running for just 89 yards per game on the road as well. Meanwhile, on the Tennessee side, they're still 6-5 ATS overall. They're 3-2 against the spread in their last 5 ball games. Tennessee's also successfully covered in 3 out of their last 4 at home. Their defense is giving up just 17 points per contest at home as well. Now, scoring-wise, Tennessee's 7-4 to the under for the year, 3-1 to the under in their games at home. Meanwhile, on the New York side, 3 out of their last 5 road games stayed under the total as well. So with all that said and done, got to make the chalky play in this one. Take the home fave. Give me Tennessee -9 after buying the hook, and the under 41 total points in this one. Next game, Chiefs-Raiders. 4:05 Eastern kickoff in Oakland. The Chiefs opened the betting as the 15-point favorite, and the total at 56 even. Since those markets opened this one up, we're seeing a slight fade of Kansas City on the spread. We're also seeing a little movement downward on the total as well. Right now, KC's -14.5 with the total moving downward to 55 and a hook. So once again, KC open 15, now 14.5. Total open 56, down to 55.5. 71% are back on Kansas City. 64% shaded toward the over. And at the moment, Oakland's +870 for some money line cash. Now, Oakland's just 2-9 straight up for the year, 3-8 against the spread in those 11 games. This Oakland offense is putting up just 17 points per contest. They're also running for less than 100 yards rushing per game. Meanwhile, on the other side, completely different story, as Kansas City scoring 39 points per contest away from home. They're also averaging 340 passing yards away from home and 118 rushing yards on the road as well. Kansas City's also 9-2 straight up in their last 11, 9-2 against the number overall as well. That's incredible. That's an incredible record against the spread, especially in the NFL. 9-2 ATS overall for the season. Now, total-wise, Kansas City's 5-1 to the over in their games away from home. Meanwhile, on the Oakland side, they're 2-0 to the over in their last couple of games, 3-2 to the over in their last 5. So with all that said and done, I think this will be a popular play by the closing line. Give me Kansas City -14 after buying the half a point, and the over 55.5 in this one. All right, next game, that is going to be 49ers-Seahawks. 49ers-Seahawks. 4:25 kickoff in Seattle. The Seahawks opened the betting as the 8.5-point favorite, and the total at 46 and a hook. And since those markets opened this one up, no real surprises here, as Seattle's taking a little money. We're also seeing movement downward on the total. Right now, Seattle's -10 with the total moving downward to 46 even. So once again, the Seahawks opened 8.5 up to -10. Total open 46 and a hook down to 46 even. 62% are leaning Seattle still. 73% shaded toward the over. And at the moment, the San Francisco 49ers are +390 for some money line cash. Now, Seattle's 8-3 against the spread overall, 3-1 against the spread on their home field. The Seattle offense is putting up 25 points per contest at home. They're also running for 158 yards rushing on average at CenturyLink Field. Meanwhile, on the other side, San Francisco's just 3-8 against the spread overall, one of the worst covering teams in the league. They've also failed to cover in 4 out of their last 5 ball games. This 49er defense is allowing 28 points per contest on the road. They're also allowing 286 passing yards when traveling. Now, scoring-wise, Seattle's 3-0 to the over in their last 3. Meanwhile, San Francisco 3-1 to the over in their games at the current posted total. So with all that said and done, I'm going to make another chalky play here. Give me Seattle -10 and the over 46 total points in this one. All right, next game. Game of interest here. Vikings, Patriots, 425, New England. The Patriots open the betting as the 7-point favorite and total at 48.5. And since those markets opened this one up, we're seeing a steady and consistent fade of the Patriots at home here. They're now just -5.5 with the total remaining at 48 and a hook. So once again, New England open -7 down to -5.5. Total open and remains at 48 and a hook. 53% are back on New England. 77% are shaded toward the over. And at the moment, Minnesota's +230 for some money line cash. Now, Minnesota is just 5-6 against the spread overall, 2-3 against the spread in their games away from home. This Minnesota defense is allowing 26 points per contest away from home. They're also allowing 100 rushing yards in their games on the road as well. Now, New England, they're 4-1 against the spread in their games at Gillette Stadium. Their offense is putting up 35 points per contest at home this season. They're also averaging 303 passing yards at Gillette Stadium this year, 138 on the ground, and they've successfully covered the number in 6 out of their last 8 ball games. Now, scoring-wise, this Minnesota offense, they are putting up 28 points per contest on the road themselves. They're averaging 315 passing yards away from home. Meanwhile, Minnesota's also 4-1 to the over in their games on the road as well. So with all that said and done, I'm going to think we're going to see some scoring in this one. Give me New England -5 after buying the hook, and the over 48.5 in this one. All right, next game, that is the Sunday night primetime game, and that is going to be the Chargers at the Steelers, 8:20 kickoff at Heinz Field. The Steelers open the betting as the 3.5-point favorite with the total at 56 even. And since those markets opened this one up, not a whole lot of movement on the spread, although we are seeing significant movement on the total. Pittsburgh remains 3.5, but the total has moved downward to 51 and a hook. So once again, Pittsburgh opened and remains as the 3.5-point favorite. Total open 56 down to 51 and a hook. 53% are on Pittsburgh, 78% are back on the over, and at the moment the Chargers are +160 for some money line cash. Now the Chargers pretty good against the number this season, 6-5 against the spread overall for the year. They've successfully covered the number in 4 out of their last 5 games away from home. Meanwhile, the Chargers offense, they're scoring 27 points per contest away from home. They're also averaging 154 yards rushing when traveling. Now, this Pittsburgh defense, they're allowing 102 rushing yards per game at home. They're also 0-2 against the spread in their last 2 ball games. This Pittsburgh defense is allowing 25 points per contest at Heinz Field. They've also failed to cover the number in 5 out of their last 8 when laying the points. Now, scoring-wise, Pittsburgh's 4-1 to the over in their games at Heinz Field, 6-5 to the over overall for the year. Meanwhile, Los Angeles is 6-5 to the over overall for the year themselves, 3-2 to the over in their games on the road. So with all that said and done, I'm going to take a road dog in this one. Give me the Los Angeles Chargers +4 after buying the 0.5 point, and the over 51.5 in this one. All right, next and final game for the show, it is going to be Redskins, Eagles, 8:15 Monday Night Football. The Eagles open the betting as the 7-point favorite and total at 43.5. And since those markets open this one up, we're seeing movement on both the spread and the total. We're actually seeing a slight fade of Philadelphia on the spread, and we're seeing movement upward on the total. Right now, Philly's -6.5 with the total moving upward to 44 even. Once again, Philadelphia opened 7 down to 6.5. Total open 43.5 up to 44 even. 54% are back on the Eagles, 74% shaded toward the over, and at the moment the Redskins are +225 for some money line cash. Now I know we're seeing a completely new look Redskins after Alex Smith had that compound fracture, but lines tend to adjust for that. Books tend to adjust for that. And if you're kind of taking a look at it that way, Washington's been pretty good against the number this season. 7-4 ATS overall, 3-2 against the spread in their games away from home. But really what the constant is this Washington defense. They've been pretty good. They're allowing just 19 points per contest away from home. They're also allowing just 90 rush yards per game when traveling. Meanwhile, on the other side of things, Philadelphia, unfortunately, has been one of the worst covering teams in the league. They're just 3-8 ATS overall. They've also failed to cover in 5 out of their last 6 games at Lincoln Financial Field. This Philadelphia defense is allowing 23 points per contest, 276 yards passing, and they're getting run all over at home. They're allowing 106 rushing yards at Lincoln Financial Field. Now, total-wise, a lot of unders in South Philly this season. Philadelphia is 5-1 to the under in their games at home. Meanwhile, on the other side, Washington has that new-look offense with Colt McCoy at the helm. I don't know where their points are going to come from, so I don't think Washington's going to win this game in the outright category, but I think they'll get the job done when it comes to the number. I'm going to lean toward Washington +7 after buying the half a point and the under. 44 total points in this one. All right, folks, that is going to do it for me. Thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. And once again, don't forget to check me out at patreon.com/ProcPage.